Well, hello everybody, and this is not a video I thought I'd be doing, but this is about dental work, being a nomad, being retired, being on the road. And I thought I had this whole thing nailed, and what happened to me recently, at least temporarily, turned things upside down for me. So here was my plan. Because I spend my winters in Quartzsite, Arizona, an hour away is the border in New Mexico into a little town called Los Algodones. Its nickname is Molar City because there's the highest concentration of dentists per capita really on the planet. And you can get, if you're careful and you do your research, you can get high quality dental work for far less than the US. Now, when I'm retired, I discovered, hey, when I turn 65, I get Medicare, but Medicare, there's no part of Medicare that covers dental work. So there are exceptions with extreme things with dental work, but as far as things like the big expenses for people on dental work are usually root canals and crowns, and the occasional implant, which are pretty expensive. So I've had, I think, 3 root canals since 62, and I'm 65 now, so that's a root canal a year. But I figured I'd be covered. I don't need dental insurance. So what threw me off was just a few weeks ago, in here, and you can't even see it because it's so far back, a crown got dislodged. And I thought all I needed to do was get it cemented back in. And so I thought, long story short, I went to a local dentist here in New Mexico, and he did an x-ray and looked at it, and he said, Rob, I can't cement that back in. That tooth has died, the root canal has failed, and you need, probably an implant, and you definitely need that tooth extracted. So that the x-ray and the opinion cost me $49. And he said, thank goodness, he said, if you want to go back down to Mexico and you're going in December, make sure you brush it real good every day, and you'll be just fine. It's not going to get worse. And there's going to be no pain because that's a dead tooth. There's no nerve. There's no live nerve endings. You just want to avoid infection. So that got me to thinking, well, maybe I should have dental insurance. Maybe it's a good idea because getting all my needs met in Mexico, I'm not always near Mexico. When I'm up in Mexico, I'm a 2-day trip, or a 2-day trip minimum away from Algodones, and a 3-day trip away if I'm up in Eagle Nest. And do I want to do that just for dental work? And probably the answer is no. That's really inconvenient. So I didn't, I think I had dental insurance through employers over the years, and I really didn't have much work done at all, when I was younger, so I didn't pay much attention. But I said, well, maybe I should look at, having a dental insurance, so when stuff happens away from Quartzsite in Mexico, I can get things done. So I did my research, and I found here in New Mexico, sort of the premium, the most popular one was Delta Dental. And I remember I had Delta Dental in Virginia. So I went looking at it, and I found that there was one for $28 a month. That sounded great. But guess what? Major services, not covered. Let me pull it up here. So major services, which include such as scaling, root planing, periodontal surgery, root canals, crowns, dentures, bridges, implants, and oral surgery, not covered. What is covered is cleanings, exams, x-rays, and sealants is free, 0% pay. If I want fillings, periodontal maintenance, and simple extractions, I pay 50% of the cost. So that's not what I really want. So I went to the Cadillac. There's a Cadillac version. It's $53. That was, what did I say? It was $28 a month. And the Cadillac service was $53 a month. That's the best one that they have. and they cover all those preventative things at zero. Basic services includes things as fillings, periodontal maintenance, and simple extractions. It's on a 3-year schedule, right? You get more and more coverage as you age out into the into the first 3 years. So year 1, you pay 60% of the cost. Year 2, 40%. Year 3, 20%. Then major services, which include the big things that we need, is root canals and crowns, bridges, implants, and oral surgery. And year 1, you have to wait a year before any of these things kick in. It's set. You pay 70% in year 1, 60% in year 2, and in year 3 and beyond you pay 50%. And the maximums though are year 1 1,500, year 2 1,750, year 3 2,000, which is reasonable for like maybe low cost, if you can find a decent cost for root canals and crowns. But implants, forget it. Implants are thousands of dollars. They're not going to cover hardly any for implants. So I started doing a little bit of math on this, and I ignored the first level one that didn't cover anything. And I said, so at $53 a month, I've got out of pocket every year $638. And in New Mexico here, I did some research, and a root canal and a crown, you're not going to get a root canal without a crown. It's $2,000. So if I do that in the first year, between what I have to pay out of pocket, which is I have to pay 70% of the cost, plus the premiums, if it happens in year 1, I'm $38 in the hole. I'm better off paying cash. Year 2, I'm up $62, so I'm better off using insurance. In year 3, I'm up $362. Now, their annual maximums, year 1, 2, and 3, respectively, are $1,500, $1,750, and $2,000. And when I look at that, I run into problems in year 1, and it's going to cost me more than the $38. So it makes no sense. I'm out of pocket for sure in year 1, so the insurance doesn't do me any good. And pretty much I'm negative in year 2. In year 3, it only starts making sense by about $300. So here's the thing. Especially with these maximums, the U.S. insurance doesn't make any sense at all in terms of dollars and cents. I'm better off going to searching for low-cost clinics. Like the clinic I went to here in Carlsbad, like I said, he did an x-ray and did an evaluation, and that was $49. I think that a cleaning and x-ray is about $120. So there's a wide variability in costs. My friend Jack Schweitzer up in Eagle Nest, I think he might go to he told me he went to Santa Fe. There's a discount clinic that he goes to, really good prices. So you can find low-cost things. And as it turns out for my problem, as I said, I can wait. It turns out I can wait. So all it cost me in the U.S. was $49 for the professional opinion, and then I can go to Algodones in December and get as much work done as I can. To give you an idea of the cost difference, sort of on the upper end, the root canal and a crown in New Mexico, and in Mexico in Los Algodones, about $600. Some higher price ones, maybe $700, but that's a far cry from the $2,000 here. So, and there are places that you can get it for, I saw when I did my research, there are ones that, say, $300, $400, but I probably wouldn't take a chance on the lower end places. But, where I go, Borderline Dental, they guarantee it for a year. If something happens, you come back in the year, they correct it. And that actually happened once where I had a problem with a crown, and they took it out and cleaned it out and put a new crown in and didn't charge me a dime. So anyway, that is my evaluation, self-evaluation of being a nomad and being on the road. The other thing that I didn't go into is their different rates. You, for these rates that I gave you for dental, you have to be in network, and I'm pretty sure you have to be in the state where you get the policy. It's a New Mexico policy, so if I'm traveling in another state, it might not be. It might be a whole different price, but even the in-network lowest prices, at best, I'm sort of breaking even, and I'm almost better off every time to pay out of pocket if I shop around for good prices. And there are actually plenty throughout the country. If you look, good discount prices, because there's so many people in this country that have lower incomes and they don't have insurance. So there is a market for sort of more discount-ended dentists. Are they going to be the very best dentists? I don't know. I'm not an expert. I do know, like the one I went to here in Carlsbad, they had the opportunity to pressure me into getting work done, and that did not happen at all, not even a little bit. He did say, hey, I can do all this work for you if you want, but he understood that I go to Mexico, and he understood how much money I would save by doing that. So he didn't pressure me. So, and I read a ton of reviews on that clinic, and very, very, very positive. So if you are wondering, what do I do about dental? I'm back to the original. I'm going to do all my stuff in Algodones. I'm not going to get one of those U.S. policies because it just doesn't, to me, it doesn't make sense. And will there come a time where, I have a major problem and I have to go back down to Mexico when I'm way up in Eagle Nest? Well, yeah, I guess I'd have to bite the bullet and hook up the trailer and make the drive down there. And there's a little RV park right at the border. I've stayed there before when I've had a couple of days worth of work. I'd have to bite the bullet and make the trip. So I'm willing to do that. And so I'm going to be a Los Algodones dental guy going forward after doing all this research. So I hope that this is helpful to you on deciding what to do as a nomad about dental issues. I think I have terrible genetics when it comes to teeth because my dad, by the time he was in his 70s, he lost all his teeth, got pulled, and he had I don't think implants were a thing back then because he ended up with dentures, an upper and a lower, and so he didn't have his own teeth that late in life, and I hope that doesn't happen to me. But I've had at least three or four root canals. That's a lot. It's I was looking at averages, and I'm well above average in getting root canals. And I did mention, and maybe you wondered about, I had this one fail, and the root canal failed, and that was not the dentist's problem, because here's what the dentist told me in Los Algodones. They said, look, we think that you really need an implant. We don't think this is going to be a successful root canal and crown. That there's about a 50% chance that it will be good, meaning a 50% chance that it'll fail. And if you want us to do the root canal and the crown, we'll do it, but understand the big risk that you're taking, because we're not really confident in the root canal's ability to be sustainable. And they were right. A year later, it failed, and um, the cement really didn't fail. The actual what was left of the tooth broke off. Just eating a bagel. That's how bad um, it, it, the tooth had just absolutely died and deteriorated. So I knew the gamble I was taking. I took the gamble, and guess what, guys? I lost. The good news is it's so far back you can't even see it. It's where my finger is, and it doesn't interfere with my bite or chewing. So very probably instead of getting an implant or a bridge, I'm probably going to have them extract what's left of the tooth, take antibiotics, and keep an eye on it to make sure there's no infection, and just leave it open. There's another molar behind it where I think I'll be fine. I think implants can be a couple $1,000s even in Mexico, versus like sometimes like $7,000 or more in the U.S. And it's a very long, drawn out process to get an implant. So I'll save that for if I have one of the more front teeth that happens with, then I might spend the money then doing that. So anyway, that's all the tooth information there is to report today. My friends, if you've been with me watching my stuff, Denny and Deb, they left yesterday morning. They're headed to Arizona, and I won't see them again until December when I get to quartzite. Denny's a authorized Victron dealer and a solar expert, and we made a deal. I gave him a really good camera and for his YouTube channel, which is DDK Travels, by the way. And so get out there and support him, DDK, the DDK Travels. Get out there and support him. Really, really great guy. And I sold him my Windows laptop, which is I've upgraded, and it's a super fast. I gave him a really good discount on that. So in return, he ordered a bunch of Victron equipment for me and all sorts of other accoutrements to go with it, and he's going to completely revamp my whole solar system on my trailer, which means this is what I wanted. I do have a solar system, but not the comprehensive thing. Here's the big thing that I'm excited about. So there's a thing called a multi-plus. It's a device that takes over the really power management from what you have built into your coach, and I can be plugged into like I'm plugged in out here to a pedestal, 30 amps, but I'll have we figured 900 watts of solar on my roof, and at the same time it's pulling from the grid, it'll be pulling from solar. So this device, this multi-plus, is smart enough to say, hey, we're going to use everything we can from solar, and we're only going to use grid when we really need it. So what does that mean? That means that anytime I'm plugged into power, I'm going to be using far less grid power, especially if it's sunny. That's pretty neat. And it's going to give me, like when I'm boondocking, meaning no hookups at all, I'll be able to do it for a longer period of time. The solar system I have was kind of cobbled together by 2 or 3 different people, and it's nice to have one person redo it all. And he's one of the most safety conscious people I know, and I'll be confident that it's safe. It's got the right gauge wire. It's got the right cutoff switches and fuses and everything. So I'll be a lot more confident. So that's going to happen this winter, probably sometime in December, January. I don't know exactly when they're getting there. We'll see. Maybe December. So anyway, I'm pretty excited about that, And let's see how much time we made it for 20 minutes talking about dentist stuff. Kind of boring, huh? But you know, it's something to think about. It's kind of stunning that with all the dentistry stuff that's happened, how my opinion is flipped back and forth between, oh, I got to get insurance here, I have to see a dentist here, or I don't need to do that, or I do, and it caused me to actually sit down and look at the ins and outs of dental insurance, and it's not good for consumers. It's not. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Take care, and I'll see you tomorrow.